welcome back to our weekly update. The reason why we do these weekly updates is just to give you guys an idea of what we're doing at Victory and kind of the stages we're at in our training and all the things going on behind closed doors there. And right now, some of the things that we've been talking about are just making sure that our kids have a healthy perspective and getting ready for tournament time. So coming down towards this last phase, we just talked about staying hungry and staying humble. And putting those two pieces together, moving forward should really help us to have a healthy perspective and to have the maximum motivation we need to do the best that we can and to be the best individuals we can. So, I told our athletes yesterday that for us at Victory, the reason why we started Victory from the very beginning was really for one purpose, and it's kind of been my mission in life and our vision and mission at Victory, and it's simple. It's really just to use wrestling as an avenue to help individuals become the men and women they are created to be, so that they can go into the world and make God's name known throughout the planet. So that's why I started Victory. Now, not everybody who comes in to the Victory School of Wrestling has to sign a profession of faith or anything like this. They don't even have to believe in God or go to church or anything like that. But as the leader and as the guy who's casting the visions and doing all that kind of stuff, that's why we do what we do. So for me, it's never been about a name. It's never been about Victory. It's never been about my name. It's been always about God's name. So I think for our athletes to understand that first and foremost is important. And I shared with them a little story that you guys might be familiar with. It's some of it is legend, some of it is history. And in the movie Braveheart, there's this guy named Robert the Bruce, who is an actual historical figure, as was William Wallace. But Robert the Bruce succeeded William Wallace, and he was a general. And when he was on his deathbed, 1329, he's dying, and he said that he wanted to have his heart taken out and put into a case and sent on a crusade. For a lot of reasons. He thought that he had done some bad things and needed to go on a crusade to validate his life and things like that. But he wanted to send his heart out in battle with his people. And there was this guy, Sir James Douglas, who was next to his bed and said, "Well, I guess that's me." So he took the heart, embalmed it, put it in a little casket, and wore it around his neck. And he went into battles with this heart around his neck. And there's a story where they were fighting the Moors, and for Douglas, death was imminent, and he was surrounded on all sides, and he clutched this heart. He picked it up and he threw it into the air, and he said, "Fight for the heart of a king." And he died right there on the battlefield, and they found his body next to this heart. But just that idea of fighting for the heart of a king was his motivation to move forward. It kept him humble and it kept him hungry. So for us at Victory, it's all about fighting for the heart of a king, but that king is God. And it's important that the athletes know that's what I'm about, because they're kind of like the little foot soldiers. I might be the general, but they're the foot soldiers that are going out and making God's name known through the sport of wrestling. And that's where our maximum motivation comes from, and that's where our maximum humility comes from. Because when it's more than just about us, there's a bigger story than our story that we can be a part of. It really humbles us, right? Because then we know that we're not the center of the universe, and the things don't revolve around us, but that there's something bigger out there, right? But then it also gives us that hunger, because when we know that our wrestling career is not about ourselves and there's a bigger story to it, then we can go out a little bit more motivation, a little bit more hunger to do great things, because we can have an impact on people beyond ourselves. So we call it a transcendent cause, fighting for something that's bigger than us. And I just recall my own little high school wrestling career, and I think at times where I was maybe in a rut and all that kind of stuff. And when you keep that humility and that hunger in the right place, we can always understand that we can fight for something. Because I'm a 15-year-old kid, right, trying to do these things in the sport of wrestling. But fast forward my life now, 15 years past that, even more than 15 years past that, and I can have an impact on individuals going through things that I went through as an athlete. So that's why we do all of the things that we do, and our maximum motivation comes from fighting for the heart of a king.